WXII 12 News. This is breaking news.
Breaking overnight, 3 people shot, 0 people arrested. Just ahead, I will break down what police know so far.
New concerns this morning about how children at the southern border will be reunited with their families, what President Trump is now asking Congress to do by the end of the week. Plus,
I thought maybe someday I would run into someone who needed my help in a small variation, but not to this extent.
A touching moment thousands of miles into the sky. What a team did to help a passenger traveling alone and in need of big help.
and good morning on this Monday. I'm Kimberly Van Scoy.
And I'm Devontae McKenna. First at 5 o'clock, our eyes are on the skies. This is a live look this morning at Graham. A beautiful weekend, warm temperatures and just a few scattered storms in the area. But Brian, severe storms possible today?
Later today, more likely tonight, I think will be our best chance, and that's going to be across mostly our southern counties. You can see radar already pretty active coming out of southern Indiana, Illinois, Ohio, moving through Kentucky and then easing toward the Carolina Mountains. We already have a couple of showers developing north and west. Sparta getting in toward Galax and Mount Airy. We're starting to see that wet weather around again. For folks who live in the mountains, showers will likely start earlier for you, but you can see that cluster of storms. They hold together long enough, and it does look pretty healthy at the moment. It's not far away from Boone Center, right about here. We'll have that chance for a few storms in the area. It is a very muggy start, kind of continuing where the weekend left off. Temperatures only got to the upper 80s Saturday, but we got well into the 90s again yesterday. Mid 70s to start with some 60s sprinkled in, especially across the border counties. We'll start to bring in warm and humid conditions over the area over the next couple of days. Now today's rain chances for the Triad, a bit of a slow start. It'll be mostly focused west early on. A 30% chance for a few storms this afternoon, then it does start to pick up later on this evening with a 50-50 shot and even increasing from there till about midnight. Even overnight, the chance for rain will continue through much of your Tuesday, Wednesday. I know the lawns could certainly use a good drink of water after the recent heat that we've had. Well, we had 4 consecutive 95-degree days last week, but poolside, again, 40% chance we could see a few storms around this afternoon. We'll have more on this and more in your forecast coming up.
And back to that breaking news this morning at 5:03, police are investigating an overnight shooting.
Yeah, it happened in Winston-Salem. Brianna Connor is live at the scene. And Brianna, what have you been able to find out?
Kimberly and Devontae, the scene's pretty quiet at this point. I think most people in this neighborhood are asleep by now, but gunshots rang out here late last night, excuse me. You can see forensics is here behind me as the investigation continues, and I'll ask my photographer to push in. You can see the scene protected by that crime tape is kind of around the corner as you make that turn. Police say this triple shooting happened on the road late last night. 2 people were in a car headed down East 17th near New Hope Lane and North Cleveland Avenue. They say someone in a car in front of them actually leaned out the window and started shooting in their direction. Lear Trey Grant and Cretia Hogan were both grazed by bullets. They reportedly do not think they were the intended targets. A third male shooting victim, who police have not identified, has critical injuries. He's being treated right now at Baptist Hospital. Police do not have a description of the shooter, but investigators say they are looking for 3 men who took the 3rd shooting victim to the hospital in a silver Ford Focus. Police are asking anyone who knows anything about this case to give them a call. Live in Winston-Salem this morning, I'm Brianna Connor, WXII 12 News.
Brianna, thank you. 5:04, the search continues for a man accused of breaking into a home twice in just one day. Officers responded to a break-in on Center Avenue Saturday afternoon. A man and a woman say they were inside the home when Bobby Harvey forced himself in. Once they confronted that man, they say he ran away. Police say Harvey broke into that same home earlier in the day. Nothing was stolen. An arrest warrant has since been issued. And in Rockingham County, deputies are still looking for 50-year-old Douglas Sears. He's accused of kidnapping and strangling someone in Eden Friday morning. Deputies say he frequents the Eden and Danville, Virginia areas. If you know where he is this Monday morning, call 911.
A shooting in Winston-Salem sends 1 person to the hospital. He was buying a motorcycle at the time. Officers found Sage Carville and another man in his truck on North Liberty Street Saturday afternoon. Carville had been shot in the leg. The other man wasn't hurt. They say they met up with 2 people to buy a motorcycle when one of them pulled out a gun, demanded money, and then shot Carville. The other man gave gave the suspects that money and they drove off. If you know anything that could help authorities solve this investigation, call Crime Stoppers.
One person is dead this morning and 4 others are hurt after a bad crash in Winston-Salem. It happened on Country Club Road just after 11 o'clock Saturday night. Police say the driver of a Chevy crossed into the opposite lane and hit another car. The driver of a Ford Mustang pulled over on the side of the road to help those crash victims. When he opened the door, a moped driver hit him. The passenger of that Chevy died there at the scene. She has since been identified as 29-year-old Latrice Jowers.
Well, right now on WXII 12, the Burlington Fire Department teamed up with the state's fire marshal's office to host a Smoke Alarm Kansas event, and they gave away nearly 60 smoke detectors to people in the community. The fire department's assistant chief says that so far this year, 93 people in our state have died in a fire. 3 out of 5 deaths happen because smoke alarms aren't working.
Not knowing and to be asleep when you do have a house fire is concerning when you have a smoke alarm in your home and it's within days. We would hope that it would be working.
Now, if you do not have a working smoke detector, call your local fire department to learn how you can get one.
Well, looking ahead this morning, the stage is set for a legal battle today. It's over the law that replaced the controversial bathroom bill in North Carolina. Critics believe the new compromise law is still harmful because it temporarily prevents local officials from passing laws to protect LGBTQ rights. Republicans in our state say the judge should dismiss the case because there isn't proof of these claims. The original law, House Bill 2, was created to eliminate a Charlotte ordinance. That ordinance required businesses to let transgender people use the public restroom of their choice. Well, next this morning, the video that's going viral and sparking a lot of outrage. Why this woman says she called the police on an 8-year-old girl. Right now it is 5:07.
Your WXII 12 forecast is always available on the free WXII 12 app. Stay connected with meteorologist Brian Slocum on his Facebook page.
I'm back here on a Monday morning. Some clouds are starting to move in. We got showers and thunderstorms in the forecast, even though some rain, a little band of showers now stretched out down into Patrick County, New Stewart. I got to back off to give you a better look at this. Through Ararat, Cana, Galax, Ennis, already starting to see some rain coming in. This will likely hold together long enough to reach the foothills. Try it, we'll see. We'll see if it stays around long enough, but grab the umbrella. You're going to need it at points today. You can see stormier weather out west. Cluster of showers and storms triggered by this boundary, and the humid air that's in place is going to bring some rain around. Very heavy thunderstorms farther west, Kansas to Oklahoma City. I'm not worried about those so much, but we'll have some rain around today. Now, likely a little slow to get going. The problem with this particular model is it's really not showing you that early rain. So take this part of the forecast with a grain of salt. I do have a low rain chance in for our western counties, actually 30 to 40% for the foothills to the mountains. Try it. I'm going to hold off until at least late morning. By midday, early afternoon, we'll start to bring in some better chance for showers and storms flaring up, but it really starts to peak during the evening. You can see the coverage beginning to increase this evening through late evening with a chance for some possible flooding rains and some damaging winds from some of the stronger storms. The rain doesn't die down overnight. In fact, it likely will be rain in the area early tomorrow morning. Notice how everything changed direction. We get more of an east-northeast wind for tomorrow. That's a cooler wind for us, and that's going to keep temperatures primarily in the 70s for most of tomorrow, warming up to near 80 degrees tomorrow afternoon. Storms could get most rough down farther south. Be careful, Davidson, Davie County. Perhaps Randolph County could see a few strong storms with damaging winds later today. High temperature near 80 tomorrow. Back in the 90s very quickly this week. In fact, this weekend looks hot and humid again with highs in the lower 90s.
Now to our Washington newsroom. After reversing his immigration policy, the president continues to push for strong borders.
And this comes as Congress struggles to push an immigration bill through the House this week. Jennifer Davis has the latest from Washington. Good morning, Jennifer.
Good morning to you, Devontae and Kim. The president sparked outrage over the weekend with a tweet that called people crossing the southern border invaders and said they should be deported without due process. The president tweeted that undocumented immigrants crossing the U.S.-Mexican border should be immediately deported without judges or courts, a suggestion the ACLU calls unconstitutional. This, as federal officials say, there are now more than 2,000 children who were separated at the border before being held in government-funded facilities. Democratic lawmakers who toured some of the sites where they're being held over the weekend called them troubling. The president says this is an important midterm election issue.
I like the issue for election, too. Our issue is strong borders, no crime.
It's a disturbing picture. There are children by themselves. I saw a 6-month-old baby.
Now, as for an immigration overhaul bill, House leaders say they spent the weekend trying to rally support for it, and they do hope for a vote this week. Back to you.
And Jennifer, before you go on this Monday, where does the president's support for an immigration overhaul stand right now?
Well, that is something that many GOP lawmakers are wondering, too. After telling them last week that he was 100% behind their effort, the president then tweeted that he thought lawmakers in his party were, quote, wasting their time by trying to pass anything before the midterm. So that sort of remains to be seen. All
right, Jennifer Davis live in Washington. Jennifer, thanks.
Attorneys on Special Counsel Robert Mueller's team have asked a judge for a September 7th sentencing date for George Papadopoulos. He is the former Trump advisor who admitted that he lied to the FBI about his contacts with pro-Russian advocates. Papadopoulos could face up to 5 years in prison. A judge could also decide not to give him any jail time at all.
You can hide all you want. The whole world gonna see you, boo.
Yeah, and illegally selling water without a permit?
A now viral video is sparking a lot of outrage. It shows a San Francisco woman allegedly calling the police on an 8-year-old girl selling water bottles near a baseball park. Allison Edel says the young girl was disturbing her work and that she only pretended to call the police. The department has not responded to that claim, but the young girl says she was trying to raise money to help her mom pay for a trip to Disneyland. A teenage girl is being called a hero for her act of kindness toward a man in need. Kate Snow shares the heartwarming story.
Tim Cook was flying alone from Portland to Los Angeles last week when flight attendants realized he might need some help. Cook is both blind and deaf, so the flight attendants asked if anyone on board knew American Sign Language. That's when 15-year-old Clara Daly volunteered. Turns out she'd been learning it for the past year. She kneeled next to Cook, signing into his hand so he could feel it and understand her words.
I thought maybe someday I would run into someone who needed my help in a small variation, but not to this extent.
For Cook, the contact was a comfort.
I was very moved, happy for you to come and talk with me. Maybe you're right, maybe it was meant to be, who knows?
A fellow passenger posted photos of the two on Facebook. It's now been shared over 500,000 times. One noting, "This story is so needed right now." Another writing, "Such a great reminder of all the good in this world." Daly thinks anyone can learn from Cook and take time to enjoy life's unexpected chances to connect.
He took such joy in a small conversation that we take for granted. So that's my takeaway. Don't take stuff for granted.
Next on WXII 12, dozens of bikers strapped on their helmets for a good cause over the weekend. The organization they raised money for and how it'll help local people in need. It's 5:20. You're watching WXII 12 News.
All right, 5:23 on this Monday morning. Parts of Oklahoma are still under a severe thunderstorm watch this morning. Heavy rain is expected to move in just a few hours from now. In fact, crews have been busy clearing down trees and debris after a severe storm hit that area over the weekend. Cleanup will, of course, continue for the next few days. Bringing things back home this morning, I'm here with meteorologist Brian Slocum, and we're expecting some severe storms today. You said it was more of the southern counties?
Yeah, it's tough to differentiate. I think it'll favor them a little bit more, but all of us have a chance. But these are all the reports of wind damage in the last 24 hours. It's a hot mess. You can see here, but even the parts of the Carolinas did see some decent damage over the area yesterday. We'll zoom in there. It avoided our airspace, but areas east of us, south of us, and west of us, even north of us, we're kind of in the center of relatively quiet weather yesterday underneath a ridge of high pressure that kept temperatures on the warm side. But for today, as Devontae just mentioned, we are under a risk for severe severe weather. It's not a huge risk, but it is there. Marginal risk usually means a storm or two. That's the area shaded in green, but farther south in the yellow, we normally get a strong storm or two, so there's a chance we could have a few warnings. Now, as far as differentiating the risk, I think it's mostly in the form of damaging wind gusts, but flash flooding and dangerous lightning are also pretty decent threats today. On the low end, hail and tornadoes, but again, it's something that we'll have to keep an eye out for. But most of the area under at least an elevated risk for strong storms. Areas along the border counties with Virginia have a little bit less of a threat today as a front starts to ease southward into our area. That's going to be the focal point for how these storms begin to flare up. You can see this cluster of storms. You can see from this vantage point how quickly it's starting to die out. Now, still, there's a good amount of lightning with this storm system coming out of parts of eastern Tennessee through the mountains. Kind of well ahead of that line, there is a band of some showers stretched out from Ashe County across the border into the I-77 corridor. So some light rain, some patchy showers will be a good bet for our western counties early today. Really not keeping much of a rain chance in for the Triad until at least late morning, but it's something we'll keep an eye out for because that area rain is holding together for the moment. 60s and 70s, it is warm and steamy out there early today. High temperatures on average anywhere from the upper 80s to near 90. It just depends on where you live. Best chance for scattered storms for the Triad will be later tonight, including those damaging gusts that we mentioned, and temperatures come down. We keep that rain chance in overnight. Light winds in the foothills, except when the storms come through. High of around 83 or 84 today, with the storm chances beginning as early as midday and into the afternoon. Our mountain counties have the best rain chance, rain likely, really after 3 o'clock today with some decent storms around. So a chance for overnight rain continues in for much of your Tuesday. Tuesday's temperatures cooler. May have a little too aggressively brought us down to 79 degrees for tomorrow, but we'll have a high closer to 80, which is going to feel a lot better. Back in the 90s Thursday through the weekend.
The start of our WXII 12 Summer Food Drive is right around the corner.
And we are partnering with the Second Harvest Food Bank to collect donations for local families who might find themselves in need. Our first stop will be on Wednesday at the Chick-fil-A on Highway 421 in Wilkesboro. We'll be set up outside the restaurant from 5 a.m. all the way until 6:30 p.m.
Yeah, I'm going to be there in the morning, and we'll also be making stops in Yadkinville, Kernersville, Asheboro, and Winston-Salem. Head to WXII12.com for a full list of locations. Cyclists in the Piedmont are helping raise money for those in need. More than 250 riders strapped on their helmets for the Tour de Lama in East Bend over the weekend.
And riders went on for a 26, 36, or 60-mile bike ride.
The money goes to help Samaritan Ministries, which is the only soup kitchen in Winston-Salem, and also a homeless shelter for men. All of the proceeds from today's fundraiser will benefit those who need the basic necessities of life.
Now, last year, 57 sponsors and 173 cyclists raised more than $21,000. Well, next this morning is the topic that's heavy during football season, preventing and treating concussions. The local technology this morning and researchers that are using to measure player contact. It is 5:28.